Welcome to an emergency Gribbly's Folly Friday antisocial. We're in some deep shit. We don't talk about politics here as much as we used to, and that's the way I like it. I don't like getting, there's no point. None of us can change anything. Why are we arguing about it? But 4 years ago, I posted a video that was recently brought up to my attention by a commenter who found me ranting in this video about the Democratic Party's nomination of Joe Biden. And, recently I have spoken more positively of Joe Biden. And so the commenter said, I guess your head's not in the same place anymore. Isn't it good that we're past all that? We're past 2020. Here's a clip from the video. Joe Biden. Joe fucking Biden. But whatever, establishment politics, gonna establish. And okay, so that's, Democrats, you had one shot. Actually, that's not true. You had two shots because you impeached him and you couldn't make that work either. I don't feel like I have an impossibly high bar. I don't think that my standards are so high that there's not a politician in the U.S. that can pass. I mean, basically, here Gribbly's qualifications for fitness for office for the presidency. 1, be able to complete a coherent sentence. And 2, please abstain from raping people. Now, it's important to note that when people do bad things, the moral culpability of those things is on the people that do them, right? The perpetrators are really the ones that it's their fault. But in the case of the Democratic Party, what happened last night? I feel like I am owed an answer. I know Joe had a cold. That's tough. I got a kid in school. I get a cold like 16 times a year. You know what happens if I get a cold when I gotta shoot a wedding? I show up and do my job. You know what happens if I don't do my job? Nothing much. Some people don't have wedding photos unless they hire somebody else at the last minute, which they could totally do, or they could shoot some photos on their phone. They'll have some photos. It'll be okay. They'll still be married. You know what happens if the president doesn't do his job? Donald Trump gets elected. I am not both sidesing this argument. I'm not both, listen. Joe Biden could die right now, and I would still vote for him in November. I would vote for my cat. I don't even like my cat. That's not true. I love that she doesn't like me. I know she doesn't like me. She would not look out for my best interest, but you know what? The bar is set so low that doesn't matter anymore. I'm pretty confident that my cat is not a fascist Russian asset. That's where my bar is. That's where all of our bars should be. And yet, I'm really tired of getting to this place where the overwhelming, the outpouring of emotion that I have is not anger, it's not sadness, it's not frustration, it's I should have known. I did know. I knew. I said it on video. Joe Biden is, look, I will admit, the man has grown on me. It's true. He has grown on me in the sense that all past presidents have grown on me in the last 10 years, except for that one. Anyway, the man is, he is more likable to me now than he ever has been because I think he has done a decent caretaking job, right? He took the country through a volatile time with nothing major going wrong that wasn't already starting when he took over. And I think that, he deserves some credit for that. And that's all he deserves. He is a lifelong career mainline centrist politician. And that is exactly what the American people do not want. I don't want it. Do you want it? Does anybody out there think, man, I really want Joe Biden. He is my first choice for president. No, and neither in 2016 did anyone think Hillary Clinton was their first choice for president. It's the exact same thing. And he still could have pulled it off. He still could have done it. I was with him until last night. I'm sorry. I am truly sorry for what he is going through and what his family is going through and those close to him are going through. I'm sorry, but it's time to go. Will he go? Almost certainly not. Almost certainly not, because the Democratic Party cannot understand. They can't understand. When someone says the word Hindenburg, we all think of the airship exploding and coming down in flames, and that's not far off from the reality. The reality is that the Hindenburg was named for von Hindenburg, who was a lionized German figure, elder statesman, took Germany through really terrible times and then got old. And in the 30s, he was too old to have the balls or the energy or the stamina or whatever it takes to keep Hitler out of power. It's just like 2016 when the right wing is like, concentration camps, and the Democrats are like, probably not concentration camps. Culpability lies where it lies, but we would not have Donald Trump if we hadn't had Hillary Clinton. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that we are in this situation. And like, it's one thing to use the old quote, like the sinner doesn't hold, the best lack all conviction. These aren't the best. They do lack conviction, but these aren't the best lacking all conviction. Where are the people that are actual leaders? It shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't need a Churchill to remind people that they should be good people. That is not, but apparently that's the case. Human tribalism is a tool that apparently we need to use. I don't know another way around it. So here we are, we're trying to be in the tribe. I want to be in the tribe. I'm not going to donate my money. You know, everyone's like, well, if you really want Biden to win, you should, now's the time. You know, he just took a hit last night. You should donate money now. No, I'm not going to donate my money. I got to save my money for pool floaties so I can swim to Norway. That's my backup plan. Me and millions of my generation, like the best chance I got is to wash up on the shore of Norway wearing like a Norwegian flag Speedo so the Norwegian Coast Guard thinks I'm patriotic. We saw the same thing play out with RBG. We saw the same thing play out with Dianne Feinstein. Granted, Mitch McConnell is, you know, we can both sides that too. I mean, the dude has like a hard reset at random intervals, but at least he stepped down from majority leader. Like, at least he had the goddamn common courtesy. We all know it wasn't common courtesy. We all know that dude could not be in the spotlight another minute, or he never would have stepped down. And that's how these things work, is these people get power and they're like an old person that refuses to admit they can't drive anymore. And that's, we're seeing that with the future of humanity. And as someone whose whole shtick is complaining about humanity, like, I must admit, I would rather not have World War III out of this deal. That would be my preference. But if we're going to get into preference and what my ideal would be, I would rather have World War III than for our entire nation to sit on the sidelines because our president is owned by Vladimir Putin. And the apologetics, they're already in place, right? Like the DNC astroturfing on the forums is like, well, you know, he had a cold. Well, he's got this lifelong stutter. This isn't really anywhere. He's always been this way. No, I don't care. I don't care. I could have done a better job. I don't know anything about policy. I'm not an expert in politics. I could have stood there and said, you're lying. You're a convicted felon. You're a rapist. I am not a political strategist, but I'm pretty sure if you just said, look, I'm not even going to engage with you. Like, I'm sorry, I'm the president of the United States. I don't argue with felons. That's all he had to do. That's all he had. And whoever, he couldn't do it, and whoever was advising him couldn't get him to do it. So once again, we're in a situation where the bad guys are bad and the good guys aren't good. And they do have, like, I can't escape this feeling that these people do have some culpability here, that they have this beautiful opportunity to put the stake in this thing's heart, and they can't do it. They cannot get ahead of the most corrupt movement we've ever seen in modern politics. And it's so maddening because the solution is right there. The American people want something new and good. They want someone that has morals, that is willing to take us in a new direction. And it's a pretty low bar. It's right there, but we are dependent upon old power brokers to let go of the power, and they just won't. And it's incredibly sad. So let's distract ourselves with some questions. I was not fishing for reassurance about my face, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Alexander Sai says, I enjoy seeing your face and seeing the pipes you smoke. Yours is the only pipe channel I continue to watch after matches past. That is high praise that I do not deserve, but I'll accept it anyway. Your honesty and humanity with off-the-cuff issues you address are one of the reasons I still have hope for our future as a species on this planet. Well, after that intro monologue, sorry to disappoint. Please do not look to me for the future of humanity. You see a tiny slice of my life that I show you, and even then, I mean, the whole point is that I'm bad at this. But Mark Twain said you shouldn't trust a man with no vices, and luckily I have several. This is my Rossi poker. I'll put it against the window there so you can actually see my Rossi poker, and in it I am smoking some Chatham Manor. It's the housekeeping for the day. If you've made it through the, apocalyptic intro to get here, we talk about pipes and tobacco sometimes. Hi-Fi, 1965, Ask Gribbs, you are my kind of get off my property liberal, where are the rest of us? I think that in the current way that we use the term liberal, that is probably an accurate description of me. Like if you were to look at my stance on policy, sure, most people would use, I think, the term liberal. Progressive even. They might even use that term. My dirty secret is that I was a card-carrying member of the Republican Party for a long time. A few years. McCain was my guy. I really liked John McCain. And I was really motivated to oppose, I was young, and I was motivated to oppose presidents running on cults of personality, which is how I perceived Obama. And I was right. He did. He ran on a cult of personality. Yeah, that seems cute now. But the reality is, I think that in terms of, I'm a get off my property liberal, right? You can tell I'm not like a bleeding heart. You can tell I certainly feel that there are realities that we have to interface with, and that separates me from a great many people on either extreme of the political situation. But ultimately, it comes down, if we had a world that was run by policy positions, this would be easy. This would all be easy. You decide the level of government that you want, and you fund it. That's it. You want a bunch of entitlement programs? Wonderful. Fund it. Go for it. You want, Heinleinian libertarian moon societies? Great. You don't have to fund too much. Go. Whatever. I don't care. This is how all true policy decisions are distilled. That is, I don't know. I'm not a poli-sci major, but in my estimation of things, policy decisions work that way. We can argue about the smarter ways to spend money. We can argue about how much to spend, but it all comes down to, do we want this level of government? How are we going to fund it? Everything else is just a social issue, which is not to say social issues are unimportant, but it is to say, if it's a social issue, that's society's problem. Social issues are where the government has to insert itself because society has failed. I just had an exhibit about marriage equality, where the government had to assert itself. Okay, there were legal things that could not be handled on any other level. But here in North Carolina, the referendum to pass a constitutional amendment against marriage equality passed easily. With, I think, by 10 percentage points. That's a societal problem. And then the government had to come in and fix it. These are what social issues are. Was the court right in doing that? Absolutely they were. But I would much rather live in a world where society just did the right thing. That would be better. Does that make me a liberal? I don't know. I don't know. I don't waste time on identifications. Are there a lot of people like us? Yes, 100%. There are a lot of people out there that, you're not going to find us donating to a political campaign because the people we donate to might become incredibly senile really fast since the State of the Union. What was that, like 3 months ago? Seriously. But we're not going to hitch our wagon. We're not followers in that sense. Where we're going to say, yeah, this is my person, ride or die. I think there are a ton of us out there though that are like, man, I wish everybody was just. I wish people didn't their mamas raise them right. All right, well, we're switching to the phone because my camera overheated because the temperature in this garage is higher than both Joe Biden's age or Trump's IQ. We do have air conditioning back in the house now, which is good. It's good, but it doesn't save you today from the increased depth of field in my phone, so now you can see my Huggies box and my wife's old yoga ball. This is why you shouldn't make me the future of humanity, because you get this little glimpse into how my life, I try to curate everything so I don't present an image of this. But I couldn't wrap the video without answering Rafa's question. He asked Gribbs, is it Appalachia or Appalachia? I'm not saying that if you said Appalachia here, I would laugh at you, but I would smirk. But the real answer to this question is that Appalachia extends from Arkansas to Maine. So there's a lot of, I mean, that's the geographic uh, mountain range. And so you gotta like take into account that there's a lot of different accents and stuff along the way. But I was having a conversation yesterday with someone who has been here for 11 years. I have lived in this town for 21 years, and I grew up since I was 10 and an hour north from here. So I am a local. I think there's also a distinction to be made between local and native. Like you can eventually age into being a local. You can't age into being a native, and that is something I do not claim. I think though that I've never heard anyone here say Appalachia and not be corrected pretty quickly. But there's plenty of Yankees who are legitimate Appalachian natives. Can I say Yankees? Am I going to get canceled for that? So if you're in New York State and you grew up there, you're a native New Yorker. I mean, Vermont too, right? Like all 6 people in Vermont are they're in the Appalachians. Okay, so I just tabbed over and did a Google, and the Appalachian uplands includes like Quebec and Montreal, all of New England, New York, and New Jersey. Bruce Springsteen is from Appalachia. But I think that it's fair to make a distinction, right? Like Southern Appalachians, there should be mountains. I don't want to gatekeep here, but like Newark is not in the Appalachians. Like probably similar levels of illiteracy and incest, but definitely a geographic difference. I say all that to say, if you're a native Quebecer who lives in, is that it, Quebecian? If you're Quebecish, however, if you're a native, you're right. However you say it, I think is what I'm trying to say. I could be Quebecish. I could live there. I could. That sounded pretty good right now. I could swim to Quebec. That would be an epic journey, right? Like Gribbs in my Norwegian Speedo, like swimming. I would swim right past Newark. I'd like glance up the Hudson while there's someone landing a plane on it, and then I would just be like, "Hey, my Quebec bros." I was watching Hermitcraft. I was watching like the Quebec Minecrafters talk about the differences in the sides of Canada, because they have like a similar geographic divide. But everyone's nice to each other in Canada. I guess because they're all afraid of mooses. It's like the moose is the common enemy, so they band together. Point is Tim Hortons everywhere in Canada? And then they were arguing about syrup. Like is it better Nova Scotia syrup or one of those other places in Canada that I can't remember because I'm American? I think that's all the animation and positivity I can put forth right now. I'm going to go, lay in bed and cry like I did all morning. Yeah, maybe we'll get news over the weekend that things have changed. Maybe there'll be something really good on the soft foods menu at the White House that just changes hearts and minds. Damn it, can I let it go? Can I move on? Apparently I can't move on. But now that we've opened the floodgates, I expect to get a million political comments, and we will deal with those next week. Next Sunday. We're 10 days out. I'm not going to do another Sunday thing because I feel like this was enough, right? Haven't we all had enough? I will see you next weekend. Thank you for watching. Now more than ever, keep the ends out for the ties that bind.